right, welcome back everybody to another episode of Chasing Ghosts. This is the video series where I talk about those hard to find comics, those impossible to find books, those things you just don't see up on the wall at your LCS. You got to hunt, you got to search, you got to do a lot of legwork to sometimes find some of these tough, hard to find comic books. Hopefully you like this series as well as everything else here on the channel. Let me know in the comments what you think. Make suggestions. I take suggestions, I file them away, and I get back to them. Please like, subscribe, hit the alert button as well. Keep telling your friends so we can keep growing the channel. I know I missed the 1,500 subscriber giveaway, and we've been trying to put things together, but we will be doing something very soon, and we will be giving away a prize since we just passed 1,700, and we're going to do that three-box thing, I think, maybe when we hit 2K. But I will be doing a giveaway soon, so keep an eye out this weekend as I'll be planning an announcement of some kind. With that all said, if you want to see this week's potential ghosts, just hang on for a few seconds after the intro, and I will be right back. All right, so as I said, let me know some suggestions of things you want to see possibly covered. Hit me up on IG, send something down in the comments down below on this video because I do listen. Our first selection is a suggestion from one of our viewers, my buddy Darth Lopez. He suggested this book, and we're going to cover this one first. And that first selection is G.I. Joe. I do love me some G.I. Joe. And this G.I. Joe Special Missions series from IDW, there's a lot of really cool incentive covers in this run. There are, and they're all pretty tough to find, honestly. These books are just, this is the highest incentive ratio that I have that I'm going to cover today, and it's only a 1 in 25. It's from March 2013. This is issue 1, pretty cool. Cobra Commander, looks like Scarlet. She married a snake. Fun cover. This thing, estimated print run is only about 13,000. So that makes the incentive at a 1 in 25 about 524 copies. That's not a lot. In the census, we're only looking at about 7 copies in the census with 6 9/8 and a single 9/4, and that's it. You go looking for this thing and see what's actually sold recently. Well, we only had one sale that I could find on eBay the last 3 months, and it was a cheap sale. Realistically, I think it's kind of cheap, where it was an $80 ask, and they accepted $52 on a best offer. Maybe it's not cheap, but that's a decent price. I would consider, and I'd be in at that price, I think, on this book, because I think it's pretty cool. I'd pay about $50 for that. Personally, again, I'm going to give you some market prices, give you the information. You make the call and do what you want. It's your money after all. I'm just giving you my take on a few of these books. Now, what's actually listed for sale? Can you get one for $50? It doesn't look like it right now, as there are only 2 copies that I could find listed, and they are not $50. They're asking $100 and $250 right now. So you can see 12 watchers and 14 watchers on these. So there's a lot of people aware of this book, a lot of people looking out for this book. So if you're going to be hunting one, at least online, you are going to have some competition. So good luck. Now, that's issue 1. And like I said, that's a 1 in 25. And now I'm going to give you a couple of random 1 in 10s that also hit in this series. Some of my favorite covers. And these are all, like I said, tough. And at 1 in 10, you'd think, well, they're probably easier to find. That's not entirely the case. We're starting here with number 3. Pretty cool. Action figures locked in the box, trapped in the toy box. Lady J just banging on the glass there to try and get out. This is, like I said, a 1 in 10, May 2013. So it's 2 months after that first issue. Print run dipped down to about 8,400 thereabouts, 8,500. So our incentive is, it's more than the 1 in 25, but it's still only at about 850 copies. That's not a lot. And when we look in the census and you see that there's only 1 and it's a single 9/6, that's also kind of interesting at this point. And when we look at what's actually sold recently, well, a raw copy sold just April 2nd for $35. That's not too bad. I, again, would consider at that price. It's close. It's a little higher than I want to go. I might want to try for 2025, but 35 plus $5 shipping, yeah, I would consider it because I do like this cover. Again, I like this one as well, so I would consider it. But I don't have that option because right now there are none listed for sale on this one. So like I said, some of these are going to be tough books to find. There's a lot of IDW incentives that will be like that. There just are. I know I've said it before, especially with GI Joe. There's going to be a lot of tough incentives because I know they're only 1 in 10, but a lot of shops weren't ordering 10 copies of a lot of these books. And this isn't even a main GI Joe title. This is special missions. This isn't usually a forgotten about series, but these covers are pretty cool. Like this next one, which is basically a Scooby Doo cover. G.I. Joe with a little Scooby Doo homage. You got Snake Eyes and Timber instead of Shaggy and Scooby. But I think it's just kind of a fun little thing. This is issue 5, another 1 in 10. This came out in July of 2013. So again, we jump another couple of months. Print run again dips down. It's only about 8,000. So our incentive's only about 800. We lost about 50 copies on that incentive based on the print run dropping. And similar. Well, the other one only had 1 copy in the census. This book has none. There are none submitted, or at least there are none in the CGC census that I could find for that particular cover for that issue. Now, raw copies, there were a couple that sold recently, and they sold pretty damn cheap too. $7 and $15. The $7 was way back in February at auction with 1 bid, and then there was a buy it now for only $15 just on April 2nd. So I would absolutely buy in at that price personally on this book. $15, I'm in. I'll pay over ratio for this. Not a lot over ratio. I mean, it's only $15 after all. But just like the others, I don't have that option because there are no $15 copies. There is a copy out there, but it's $35. And it's just like that other toy box one. I just don't know if I want to buy in at $35 for a 1 in 10. I like it, but I don't know if I like it that much. It's not my favorite of the bunch. It's close, but it's just I don't know. I hem and I haw, and maybe one of you guys is going to go buy it first before I can make that decision. That said, I got one more of these G.I. Joe special missions to go over, and then we're going to jump all the way up to issue 12. They're still doing 1 in 10s. There were even a couple of 1 in 25s mixed in, but this was another 1 in 10. Get a nice, pretty cool wrestling, whole wrestling scene here. Snake Eyes with a steel chair, Destro going off the top rope. 1 in 10 from, what are we looking at? February 2014 on this one. Print runs way down at about 5,700 copies, so there are only about 574 for the incentive at this part of the run. Just like the Scooby-Doo homage, the wrestling homage also has no copies in the census that I could find. Nor were there any copies sold that I could find for this particular issue. Nor are there any copies available for this particular issue that I could find. And this is one I wouldn't mind picking up because it's kind of cool. Now, going back to last week's, well, actually not last week, no, just going back to Hidden Gems yesterday. I mentioned the Chip and Dale thing. So in looking into that, I found that one Chip and Dale, that B cover. But in that series, this Boom series, I mentioned, I think, that there are 1 in 10s. So let's take a quick look at the 1 in 10s for Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers from Boom. There are only 8 issues in the whole run, but there were, I think, 1 in 10s for the first 4 issues. And they all have a similar vibe with the Rescue Rangers logo, which looks very much like the logo we're getting in this animated movie. Not to say that this is what's going to adapt it. I'm just saying that that's the logo. So it's a familiar looking symbol that you should catch your eye. This is issue 1. Like I said, Boom. This is the limited edition 1 in 10. This came out in December of 2010. So this is 12 years old at this point. This is an older book, and there weren't a lot printed. Only 5,300 thereabouts. So we're looking at an incentive, even at a 1 in 10, at only about 538 copies. So that's not a lot. Only in the census, we have 12. We got 11 9/8 and 1 9/4. So mostly 9/8, but still not a ton. Only a dozen in the census for this book. And surprisingly, there were none sold for this issue 1. Nor were there any available for sale. These are, again, who's going to be ordering 10 copies of Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers, these Boom titles, these kid titles? Not a lot. Not a lot of stores are going to do that. And if they do, they might not even have these priced like anything special. These might have just been out on the rack with the rest of the books. So these could just maybe even be tucked away in back issue bins or cheap boxes somewhere. So just be mindful of that. Keep an eye out for these mostly white covers because we're going to get to another one here. And this is one that I found, issue 2. which I like. It's the two of them. So this is one. It's probably my favorite of the group because it's the two of them. It's also a 1 in 10. Came out in June. Not June, January 2011. So the next month, we went into the next year there. And this one had the print run dip down to about 4,100. So there's only about 414 of this one. And when you look in the census, there is only a single 9.8 for this book out there in the census. So not a lot of these are graded. That said, we did have a couple sales. We had a $40 sale just May 2nd, just yesterday. Somebody bought one for $40. And then April 29th, it says one bid for $5. But what that was an auction that was starting at $5 that also took a best offer. And the best offer accepted. Well, I don't have it listed here because I just don't. It's $8. But the reason why I know that is because I'm the one who bought it. I bought it for $8 because I just made an offer. They had a few other random books that I was interested in. And I was like, they had all auctions. They were all like $5 starts. They had a couple days left. And I'm like, I don't want to gamble on trying to win it for $5. Even though, like I said, auctions are a good way for you to get some of these books cheap. I just decided, you know what? For $3 extra, let's see if they accept my offer. And the seller accepted my offer. So I was happy. They were happy. I got my book. I think it's a cool one. I just wanted it for my collection. This is my favorite, again, of this bunch. So I was happy to get it for $8. Now, what's out there in the market? Well, it looks like that seller that had the $40 one, or at least somebody else has a $40 one out there with 5 watchers. It does say last one, so they must have had multiple copies. So if you're interested, that looks like your only option. The only ticket in town is $40 for that one. And then the next one is issue 3, Monterey Jack. I kind of like this one too. It's kind of fun. 1 in 10. This is February 2011. Estimated print runs dipped down to about 3,800. So we're only looking at about a 383 of this particular one. And this one, even though the last issue had 198, this one's got none in the census. There's quite a few books this week that I have none in the census. They're just not graded. I'm not saying that's just because they are that impossible to find. I mean, I think it's part that, but it's also partly that it's just not books anyone thought to really go and submit, you know? And then this one had another recent sale. It was sold yesterday. Best offer on $40. They accepted 30. And it was also May 2nd. It's probably the same seller. And if I were to put money on it, I bet you it's the same buyer. They probably bought both of these. And I even wonder if I know who this was, because I only told one person about this, my buddy at work. I told him about these, so maybe he bought them because he was like, "Oh, those are pretty cool. I want to go buy them." So I don't know. I'm suspicious of how these sold just yesterday. So I'm suspicious. I'm gonna have to ask him about that because after that one's gone, and I would have considered it, there are none out there. So, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? You just have to wait for one to pop up. Up next, we have the last issue of the 1 in 10s, issue 4. Yeah, it's not too bad. Another 1 in 10. This one is March 2011. This one, the print run, I could not get because I don't think it hit the Comic-Con census. The print run numbers, because the bottom issue 300 on the list was only at 3,706 issues. So this issue would have had to have been below that. And if we've looked at the print run dropping, consecutively issue after issue over the first 3, I'm not surprised that this one would be under 3,700. It's probably around 3,500. So the incentive is going to be under 370. I don't have an estimated number. I'll ballpark guess it's probably around 350, maybe 360, but who knows for certain, because we just don't have that data to give you a good number. But this one actually has one in the census, but it's only a 9.2. So a single 9.2 in the census for this issue. But no idea what the market is because none have sold recently. And as you might guess, there are also no copies available. So these Chip and Dale books are just not out there to go buy. Well, I bought one and somebody bought a couple other ones, but that's about it. So we're going to move off these kids' books. And again, like I said, I'm looking forward to this Chip and Dale animated movie. I think it's going to be fun. It'll be a good family movie, something I can watch with my son and my wife. And I'm hoping it's as good as Sonic, or at least close. That said, we're going to jump over to another thing that I've stumbled into when I was doing dollar bin digging last week, when I was thinking of those Nighthawk books. And I realized, or not realized, I found, I was like, oh, look, there's 1 in 25 for Nighthawks. So let's look into them, because how many people were buying Nighthawk? It was only 6 issues, I believe, for the total, and there are 3 1 in 25s. This is issue 1. This is a 1 in 25 that came out in May of 2016. So, about what's that's like 6 years ago, thereabouts. So 1 in 25, not too bad, right? Estimated print runs a decent 34,000. I'm surprised for a title like this. I thought it was going to be much lower. So the incentive for 1 in 25 is going to be a nice 1,300 plus on this one. In the you know in the CGC census though, there are only two graded. That's a Raphael Albuquerque variant cover. So there's only two 9/8s, and that's all that's subbed for this particular book. I believe there's a Scotty Young cover, there's a hip hop cover, I think there's an action figure cover, and then there's the regular cover. But the Albuquerque is the 1 in 25, and there are two in the census. What's sold recently? I did find one sale, $20, March 29th. It's a decent amount. I mean, it's close to ratio. Had free shipping, just under. And on the market, there were like four, I think. I only grabbed two to give you a good sense. Like $20 to $45 are the asking prices, but there were a couple of more. I think one was really pricey, and one might have been also in that kind of like $20 to $25 range. But there were a few. There was a small handful out there. So I just figured I'd just list it this way and give you just a couple examples to give you a kind of a range. But that was issue 1. Let's jump to issue 2. We're going to go through these kind of quick because I still got a few more books after these Nighthawks. And issue 2 is, I can't remember who did this cover. It wasn't Kieran Grant. I think Grant did the third issue. This one might have been Declan Shavley, if I'm not mistaken. But this is a 1 in 25 from June of 2016. Estimated print run dropped all the way down to 16,000. So now the incentive is only 660. So print run got dropped more than half for this book. So the incentive is also more than half cut down. In the census, there's only the one 9/8, a single 9/8 on this book. And like I said, I think it's a Declan Shavley, though it doesn't say it on the census there. Usually they put the artist, but not for this book. Only sale I could find was a lot that sold Nighthawk 1, 2, and then the variant for number 2, all for $12 with free shipping. That's a decent deal back on March 27th, I would say, for a 1 in 25. And you got issues 1 and 2. Plus, the regular cover for issue 2 is a pretty cool Sienkiewicz cover. It's like a close up on his face. If you don't know it, go check that one out. I would pick that up for $1 if you could find it, because, like I said, it's a pretty cool cover on its own. But if you want to go shopping for one of these, there is one out there. It is in a lot with issue 1, and this is one of the ones I mentioned, one of those others that I didn't list out because I'm listing it here. Issues 1 and 2, the two 1 in 25s, asking $100 or best offer. So they're out there if you were that interested. Me, that's a bit too much. That's a little too rich for my blood. I'm not buying in at that price. I'm more like, hey, the $12. That's like the kind of thing I'd be buying it at personally, because I don't know where this is going to go. Who's really going to be looking for these Nighthawks? Yes, they are, pretty tough to find with the print runs. There's not a lot of copies out there, but there's not a lot of demand either. So you got to factor that in too. Just because something's rare doesn't automatically mean that it's worth money. You just got to find somebody who wants to give you money for something, because that's what value really is. Somebody's got to give you that money. I mean, anybody can just throw numbers out and say whatever they want, but it don't mean anything unless somebody's actually going to put the hard-earned dollars down to give you that for a book. So that all aside, let's get the last one out there. Number 3, I like this one. I think this is Kieran Grant who did the cover for this. Again, a 1 in 25. This is from July 2016. Print run again dipped down to about 13,000. So the incentive dipped down to about 537 copies for this one. So again, drop as print run goes, because again, this is not the most popular title in the world, for Marvel. So I'm surprised there was one in the census, but there is a 9/8. So there is a 9/8 in the census. And what actually sold? Well, I had a sale for $5. Somebody bought one for $5 the end of March 29th. I'm in for $5, even with the $5 shipping. This is something I'd buy for $5. That's the kind of thing that I like to do. I like to buy these weird, obscure little variants for this price, because man, who knows? Maybe it gets hot one day, maybe not. It's still kind of a cool thing to have at basically a cover price buy, But if you want to go buy one out online right now, they're actually not that expensive. $10 with 6 watchers. I guess they just want to pull the trigger. And then there's one that's only $13 with free shipping. So I don't know. Still not very expensive. They're both, even with the shipping on that top one, they're both under ratio, like half ratio for this one, this issue 3. And there's only 500 or so copies. That's not too bad. But again, they're out there. I didn't buy those ones. I left them for you guys. If you want them, have at it. Maybe I'll look later in the week. I don't know. This is just one of those things. I like it, but I didn't feel the need that I had to buy it. So even at these cheap prices, they're still out there for you. Now, up next, I got a recommendation from our buddy Triple C1. He gave me a list of books like a while back, some things that I should cover, and I'm hitting this one up now. And this is Scarlet #4. This is the regular cover with the paper bags on her hands. Now, the 1 in 50, we removed the paper bags, and that's what you get with the 1 in 50 incentive that came out in January of 2011. So 1 in 50 for this Scarlet book. This, Brian Michael Bendis, Alice Maleev, pretty cool. I liked it. It was a decent read. Love the art too, by the way. But 1 in 50, this is going to be a tough one. Because look, estimated print run's only about 22,000, so that's going to give our incentive only about 440 copies. If I'm doing my math right. You look in the census, there's a few. We got 11, 398s, 496s, and a few 94s, and it looks like a 90. So not a lot in the census, still under a dozen, but yeah, there are a few in the out there. And what's actually sold is an absolute steal. $36 on February 27th at auction with 14 bids. Somebody stole one of these for $36. It's going to cost you like $30 just to grade it and ship that thing to CGC and ship it back, if not more. And this is a 1 in 50. Absolute steal at that price. Again, another reminder, if you are a seller, don't auction hard to find things like this. Just don't do it. Even though there's 14 bids, there's still not enough interest out there. There's not enough awareness that's going to get you that price that you're probably hoping to get. Like the 3 copies that are out there right now, which are asking $400, $375 for a 9.6, or $1,100 for a 9.8. So the current 9.8 out there is asking $1,100. Somebody bought one for $36 just a couple of months ago at auction. Don't auction these types of books. That's the best advice I can give you. If you're buying, absolutely search those auctions. Cross your fingers. Hope that you can come out on top, and maybe you can get a steal like that. Because other than that, I don't know. This is gonna be a pricey book. This is gonna be a tough one to grab. And don't be that person that's gonna go to the seller at $1,100 and say, hey, I'll give you $100 for it. The last one only sold for $36 because that's a ridiculous thing to do. I'm not saying you can't make an offer. Just be realistic. Be realistic. That's all. That said, that's this book. And we're going to move on to Witchblade, which is going to be a nice little limited edition. I'm talking about Witchblade because, again, I was digging into Witchblade yesterday for Hidden Gems, so I came across a couple of things that didn't fit Hidden Gems, but I could place them in here because these are going to be some tough Witchblade books to find. So they're probably not going to be tucked away in those boxes. These you're going to have to search and hunt for. And the first one is this Top Cow exclusive. December 2011, this Top Cow store edition. I believe it had a print run limited to 750 copies. So it's one of those things where it's just a limited print run. I think the Top Cow store, I think online maybe, is where you would have gotten a hold of this. And pretty cool, little, it's a Cedric cover, I believe. And you get a nice little profile kind of shot. Her looking up. Not profile, little close up of the face looking up. Census numbers are pretty low. There's only 7 in the census with 2 9.8s, 3 9.6s, and a pair of 9.4s. And there have been none sold recently. None moving on the market out of these 750 copies. I mean, 750 is still a pretty small number, but there is one out there. There is one out there, and it is a 9.6 asking $145. I don't know. I don't know if that's a good price or not. I'm still not buying it personally, but I don't know. For 9.6, limited to 750, that's the only one that's there. None have sold. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know. You guys tell me what you think. Tell me what you think in the comments or in the live chat once I put this up a little bit later because I am filming this today on Tuesday. I mean, it's almost 9, so I got to hustle this up so I can edit it and get it posted. That all said, next one, I got one more Witchblade for you. It's a J. Scott Campbell for this same issue 150, but this is the 1 in 25. And what I found interesting about the 1 in 25 J. Scott Campbell cover is that there's actually going to be less of these than that limited edition because at a print run of only about 14,000, we're only looking at about 570 potential copies. So this is going to be even harder to find than that limited edition from the Top Cow store. Man, I'm getting all tongue-tied today. In the census for this one, though, there are a decent, 2 dozen, 10 9/8, 12 9/6s, a 9/4, and a 9/2. But I guess that's a Campbell factor. I mean, a lot of people grade Campbell books. I do. I like the Campbell covers. This is gonna be a tough one to kind of track down. I do not have this one. I do have that 135 that I talked about before, which is kind of a cool cover. But those recent sales on this are signature series, $700. I didn't bother grabbing the price on that one. You get the idea. And then there was a raw that sold for 250, and they felt the need to cover it up. I mean, there's nothing shown. I know it's a little risque because it's Witchblade, but I don't know the need for the post-it note. Maybe they thought there was something there that actually wasn't. And if you want to go buy one of these, there's actually copies online, but these are pricey. They're expensive. They're out there, but raw $700, raw $1,500, or a 9/8 for a healthy $1,400 at auction. So I guess if you want to auction it, you could start it off pretty high. And so this way you'll make sure you don't get shortchanged like that $36 Scarlet book. But these are all pretty pricey, so I am not in on these because that's too much. Hope to find this book one day, but not at these prices. And one more. I got one more Campbell for you. Just because like I said, I know a lot of people criticize, but I like Campbell, especially old school Campbell. I don't know, something still nostalgic about it. And this is Danger Girl #2. There are a few versions of this, including some recent reprints that will say Revolver down below here, where the where signature is. So just be mindful of that too. So don't overpay because they are reprints of this particular issue. This one here is the red foil. There's a platinum version that was limited to 1,000, and then there is the incentive version that is not, there's no foil to it at all. It's just kind of like a silver trade dress. But this is the red foil edition from May 1998, way back, ruby red foil, limited to only 400 on this one. Like I said, the platinum is about 1,000 copies, and there's copies I think out there for sale like about $500, $400 raw. I didn't put that in here because I felt like I've already covered enough books. I'm just giving you this one version, but I felt like I'd just speak to the other copies for you. But the ruby red version, it does have a healthy 40 copies in the census here, with 21 9/8, 7 9/6s, 8 9/4s, and a few others kind of rounding that out. But still limited to 400 copies. This is going to be a tough one to find, and there have been none sold, as to no surprise, and there are actually none available either. So I am also not surprised by that, with the limited nature of this book and the fact that it's from 1998. So this is an oldie. This is the oldest one on the list. Granted, I was still collecting well before that, but the point being, this book is not going to be easy for you to track down. But that said, a few of these did have multiple copies out there. So we'll have to say that these 5, even though Lopez, you put that G.I. Joe Special Missions, there were 2. So with 2 or more copies, and even that Scarlet that Triple C had recommended, these all have at least 2 copies out there. So I'm just going to put them in the hard to find category, while healthy 10 books from the list, considering all those other G.I. Joes, all 4 of the 1 in 10s for the Chip and Dales, the limited Top Cow store, the Danger Girl limited to 400, and then even that one Nighthawk book. I don't know, that's a little dicey, but hey, there was only one for issue 2. For whatever reason, there's only one issue 2 out there, but there were 3 copies of issue 3, even though the print runs lower on 3 than 2. But that all said, these 10, since there's 1 or less, I'm going to just say these are the ghosts for this week. Again, this is based on the data as of today. Come tomorrow, somebody might see this video and then they go and list all their copies, trying to make a ton of money on these Chippendale books. I don't know. But I'll just tell you, it's not going to be me. I only bought the one, and I bought it from me. So that's mine. That said, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Thank you for stopping by. I appreciate you all. I appreciate you checking this out. Hopefully you are enjoying the channel still and everything that we're putting out there. We got some new stuff coming on the way with some new material. Marco's working on something. Jedi and Ruben are still plugging away on Between Two Forces. We got the live shows on Wednesdays and on Sundays. And yeah, I still got the recorded stuff coming out a couple times a week. So again, still having fun doing this, even if I'm a bit behind on getting all this stuff done. Like I said, it's about 9 o'clock now, and I'm about to get done recording. Got to do a quick edit and get this posted so it drops at least by 10 tonight. And with that all said, you guys don't care about any of that. Hopefully I see you guys in the live chat, and I will see you guys soon with some more content.